Today's topic, how to work around family, friends, and relationships. First thing I'm gonna say is there is no life balance. If you're gonna go big and you're gonna run a business up the mountain, everything 100% of your time's gotta be building your business. You can't just be sitting here going out to dinners on Fridays and Saturday night. You gotta be focused on your business. Once you've established your goals, you know exactly what you want and where you're going, you have to understand that the first 5 years is what's called forced volume. If you don't pay attention, that 50 to 100 grand will end like this. If you don't know how to measure forced volume versus stable volume, you're gonna be off and you're gonna go from hero to zero, because when you don't know how to run your business properly, you don't really understand what's happening. The main thing with consistency is you gotta create the consistency first. Consistency leads to momentum. Hey everybody, welcome to the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast with Anthony Powell. I'm really excited to talk to you guys today. You know, last week we came off a very powerful interview with Cody Sperber. And now this week we're gonna go back into things I learned on my journey on the $2 billion ride. And you know, that journey is still going. Today, I have another company that I've been building for the last couple of years. And that too is gonna go into the hundreds of millions, but it requires a lot of work. And see, a lot of you guys, you know, you see the Instagram stories, you see all of the flash, the cars and all that stuff, and you can't get consumed with that. So you got to really understand that it doesn't matter what industry you're in, you're going to have to do the work, right? AI is going to help you do it more efficiently over time. Automations here, in addition to AI, tech automation, CRMs, all the things you want to automate as much as possible. But you're going to have to put forth the effort and really be the person that digs in and goes to work. Now, today's topic, write it down, is how to work around family, friends, and relationships. This is something that I just find entrepreneurs have a real hard time understanding about the life balance. You know, the first thing I'm gonna say is there is no life balance. You know, I see a lot of people, they're like, they work all week and they go, oh, I deserve to go to dinner with my girlfriend. I'm sorry, buddy. Or maybe I need to go to dinner with my boyfriend. You know, it sounds like, you know, you still have a mentality of a mindset of an employee. You got that check in and check out mentality. And if you're gonna go big and you're gonna run a business up the mountain, number one, you're gonna have to understand that there is no life balance. Everything 100% of your time's gotta be building your business. Can you kiss your friend, your girlfriend or boyfriend or husband or wife on the way out? Sure. Can you spend time watching a movie in bed at midnight? Yeah, you can do that. But you can't just be sitting here going out to dinners on Fridays and Saturday nights or the movies and all that stuff. You got to be focused on your business. And I highly recommend, if you're not in a relationship, don't get in one, because it becomes super messy if you are in one, because that person requires time and effort and things, unless they're in the exact same industry you are, or not industry, business, you're in the same business. Because if you're in the same industry, now you're gonna fight for information and it's just a mess. I've coached so many relationships over the years. You know, just try not to work together. I'm just telling you, it will destroy your relationships. Okay, unless you're on the same page and the one person understands one's the alpha, one's the beta. If that's understood up front, you're gonna be fine. If that's not understood up front, it's not gonna be fine. So here's the deal, how to work with friends, how to work around family, friends, and relationships. So once you've established your goals, right, you know exactly what you want and where you're going, you have to understand that the first 5 years is what's called forced volume. Write it down, forced volume. And I see this so many times where entrepreneurs start making 50 grand or 100 grand a month, and they go, I'm gonna go start buying, you know, cars and all kinds of nonsense. No. If you don't pay attention, that 50 to 100 grand will end like this. Because that first 3, 5, 7, 10 years, your business is going up like this. It's massive horsepower going, right? And if you let go, the real volume, let's hypothetically say you're doing either 100,000 a month or $1 million a month. If you're pushing and you're doing 100,000 in business a month, if you let go, you're really doing 10 to 20,000 a month. Because when you're pushing, you're hitting that 100, but the reoccurring business that happens whether you work or not is really about 10 to 20% of what the actual gross total is. And that's because you're forcing volume, you're building the business, you're making things happen. And it's very easy to get delusioned at $1 million a month, right? At $1 million a month, you're sitting there, you think you're rocking, and you're not rocking, because if you don't know how to measure forced volume versus stable volume, you're gonna be off, and you're gonna go from hero to zero, because when you don't know how to run your business properly, you don't really understand what's happening. So you don't see a lot, let me back up a second. You're gonna have to also sit down and understand that you're gonna have to work 6.5 days to 7 days a week until. And I get this all the time. Entrepreneurs are looking for this lure. All of us have gone through this. Don't look at someone on Instagram or social and think that they got something easy and you're gonna sit there and get down on yourself because shit's not happening for you. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna feel like you're getting punched in the mouth all the time. You're gonna sit at night and go, is this really worth it? And you gotta understand, if you're getting hit that hard, you gotta take a step back and find out, what is it that's making you feel like you're pushing a dead horse up a hill? It could just be you don't have the skill set. Maybe you're good at one thing, but now you're taking on a whole bunch of other things that you don't have a skill set for. Don't worry about it. Just identify and solve. We got YouTube, we got all kinds of things now that you can do. You can just punch in keywords and really get training for free now, and understanding how to run the business in the back end and how to fine tune your back end when you do what you're good at. But you got to remember, if you're good at one thing that's got you a reputation, don't let go of that. Keep pushing that as fast as you can while you learn the other side. Because businesses are all about, it's not like an employee where you check in, check out, come back tomorrow. See, when you do the business or a business, you got to look at the numbers. And that brings me to, you don't see a lot happening in the beginning. It becomes like a mirage, or like the mirage where you see water down the street in the desert and you walk all the way down there, you're thirsty, you get there, there's no water. And you just feel like, I know I've done this several times in businesses, you feel like sometimes you're working your brains out, or you can get a little cross, basically angry, right? A little frustrated. You don't realize how upset you are because you're pushing so hard, you're frustrated, but you're gonna have to understand, it's okay to feel that way. Just be grateful where you are and be grateful that you're learning a new skill set. But you're gonna work a lot in the beginning and make a little, because your business requires to be fed, meaning advertising, paying the bills, doing the things to keep pushing. If you pull out of that and for profit, it's just not gonna be your thing. The main thing with consistency, and this is one thing a lot of you guys need to understand, is you gotta create the consistency first. Consistency creates momentum. And it's like a bell curve, right? The first 90 days, people work their brains out for 60, they're excited for 30, they're upset the next 30, which is 60 days, and then they quit about 70 days in, and on day 90 to day 120 is when the business starts seeing wind and light. So understand the momentum, consistency creates momentum. Now the main thing with consistency is never quit. That's a very cliche statement to say, because like I talked about, consistency leads to momentum. Momentum is the art of everything. Now, once you hit momentum, it could be 3, 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months. The trick is to keep it going and not letting up. You know how many people I've seen, probably hundreds of people I've seen hit momentum, get the lifestyle going, they let up, they don't have the right people running the positions that they let go of, and the business comes crashing down, the cars get towed, the business gets locked up. Guys, just understand, you create business, you reinvest your money in more advertising, you reinvest in your infrastructure. Don't touch any material things that are going to distract from your rolling your budget back in to create more business. You have to stay patiently doing that for weeks, months, and years. This is one of the biggest things that I went through, and I watched so many freaking people do this mistake. They start touching the gross revenue because they want to go buy something. Why do you need that so bad? Can't you visualize where you're going to be in the next 3 to 5 to 10 years on top of the mountain, the big company, and you're the company in the industry? You can't pull from it, guys. I lived in a 1-bedroom studio apartment for years, and then I got a 2-bedroom apartment. It was brand new, it was the best part of town, but it was 400 square feet. I lived under my means. I put my money back in. Yeah, and then, you know what, many months I was making 20, 30,000 a month, living in a 450 square foot place. I was clear where I was going. I didn't need to go, when I went to the grocery store and saw the guy with the Rolls Royce, I didn't give a shit. Good for him, right? But my 20, 30 grand a month or my 5 grand is going right back into my business. I'm getting my business to grow. I'm laying the foundation. I'm rolling the cash back in. So you can't be led into temptation, see? Temptation is the old you, right? The old you, the employee you going, I need to go to dinner with my friend's family or my girlfriend or boyfriend. You just can't do it. This is not the time to entertain friends or be in relationships, guys. And it's tough. I get it. We all want love. We want someone to scratch your back or give you a hug or whatever, but you're going to have to look in the mirror and love yourself first. This is where it's so good to be an entrepreneur, because you got to love yourself and you got to be the person that's strong. You got to do personal development every day. See, with me, I didn't have a big center of influence because I had to fire everybody because everybody was broke and the mentality was employee. So Jim Rohn said, just put me in your ear every day. Go for a run. Put me in your ear. Let me talk to you. Even though he wasn't talking to me, I was listening, and then I was doing my business. So I wasn't alone. And then I have faith, I talk to God. You got to get in relation. Whoever your God is, I know who my God is. You got to get in line there, see? I'm not a Bible thumper at all, but I know how to keep my faith in line, my spirituality in line. I know how to understand right and wrong, you know what I'm saying? You got to get this all going. And if you do that, you're not going to feel like you're being left out. Because a lot of times as an entrepreneur, you get what's called FOMO, fear of missing out. You're not missing out on anything, guys. There's still gonna be birthdays, there'll still be movies, there'll still be a bar to go get a drink in 5, 10, 15 years from now. You're just gonna be more stable. 1,000% of your time needs to be either you are in the gym working out or doing your business, and the other time is just your head on the pillow. That is it. There's nothing else besides those 3 things. Now, the old you went to dinner and partied on Saturday night. Maybe you didn't party, but you went out to dinner and you could have used those 4 hours of looking at your numbers, sifting and sorting through your good and your bad, celebrating and fixing. Now, the new you can't do that. You got to make a decision. Your business requires 1,000% of your attention. There is I said this in the beginning, there's no work-life balance. It sounds like, oh my God, this is negative. I'm just telling you the real deal. You guys are looking at Instagram thinking that all those rented cars and these rented apartments and all this shit is reality. Guys, you're not going to be able to get into that because you got to lay a foundation first. So anyone that's like, hey, I'm a crypto king, good for you. You couldn't do it again. Only a handful can. And getting down here to Miami really got me to open my eyes. So many fleecers down here. Jeez. I mean, talk about amateur business people. Have no fundamentals. They put on the nice clothes, they drive a rented car, and they trick bag people. And when you ask them, let me have my lawyer talk to your lawyer, they don't have one. Let me see under the hood, let me see under your panties, your business fundamentals. They don't even know what that means. They don't even know what a spreadsheet is. So you've got to get good at what I'm talking about here, okay? When you try to put relationships into the mix, that's when you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. You're going out, you're spending $200 on a dinner. That needs to go into your business. So you're trying to give attention to this person and then your business is a person, and the two don't mix, guys. And I understand it's really hard to understand this in the beginning. You're like, no, I can do it. You're gonna get hurt, and then you're gonna go through a broken heart, and then a broken heart when you no longer have that person with you is gonna put you off 90 days as well. All right, now let's go to phase 2 here. Let me talk to the guys for a second. When you're starting to make 10 to 20,000 a month, you start feeling like you're the man, like, hey, look at me, I got 10, 20 grand a month. It's easy. This is so funny. I wrote this down and it just reminds me of the people I've watched do this. It's so easy to let go of all the habits that got you to where you are, but you're still in forced volume, right? So you're making that 20, 30,000 a month and you now go out to do the dinners, you put on the suit, maybe your car's a little bit nicer, and you don't realize you're in forced volume. And when you let go during the forced volume time and you do a little bit less and you want to flex your muscles on look at me, it comes crashing down. So just understand it takes 3 to 5 years before you start seeing anything to do with stable volume. Now, if working at home around family, friends, girlfriends, boyfriends, you can't walk into, this is another mistake I see people, just because you're working at home doesn't mean they can just walk into your home or your office. If you work somewhere else, they couldn't just go, hey, I'm coming down to your job site and walk in there and talk to you for 30 minutes and then I'm gonna leave. Then you gotta hold the same standards at your home if you're working from home. You can't just have your cake and eat it too, guys. So you've got to make these adjustments before you can become successful. The thing you got to understand more than anything, and a lot of you guys are going to hear this and then you're not going to do it. And I was talking to someone earlier today, a lot of girls are better at this than guys. Guys, you have to hear this and you'll do nothing about it. And then you're going to go get your heart broken and you're going to lose it all. That's sometimes the only way men listen, unfortunately. Girls, you guys will take notes. You'll go, oh, I don't want that to happen. I'm going to take action now. Boom, that's it. You just make a decision. But guys, if you can get strong and make a decision, I promise you your life will not take as many bumpy roads as mine did, because I took a lot of bumpy roads to figure this out. It's just, if you're in a relationship, you got to sit down and say, here's where I'm going. Here's what I'm going to go do. Things are going to be changing. I'm not going to have the flexibility I once did. If you want to be with me down the road, it's going to be amazing. I just can't guarantee when that's going to be. So that's just the truth. Understand what I'm saying about stable volume and forced volume. It's going to take, I said 3 to 5, it's going to take 5 to 10 years. 3 years, you'll start seeing when the stable volume hits, which means you get referrals and business happens whether you advertise or not. You'll start seeing this, that it fluctuate at year 3. But the thing about it is, guys, is that you have to get it. Stable volume versus forced volume. Forced volume is the first 3 to 5 years, you're just pushing to create your name, to create your business. And just because you're making a bunch of money, maybe on year 3, does not mean that that's real money. It's there, it's happening, but if you decided not to advertise anymore or do other things, it's gonna go down 80%. That's your real top line gross revenue. And then all of a sudden you'll see by year 5, it'll be whether you work or not, people are gonna be coming through no matter what. So take this into account, make it happen, guys. Write it down, watch the video 2 or 3 times. Because sometimes it doesn't make sense. And you're going, God, man, this is so true, but I don't wanna deal with this right now. Here's the only 3 things you gotta be doing. Gym, your business, head in the pillow. That's it, okay? I did that my first 10 years. That's the only thing I focused on, and I got stinking filthy rich. Now, I'm not telling you I didn't have black eyes along the process, lose a bunch of money, had my lights turned off, eating tuna fish out of a can and top ramen. I went through all those phases. But I was not willing to let go of my business being refunded. That's the magic of who I am versus what other entrepreneurs are. Don't let other people fool you thinking just because they wear the shiny suit man, right? Or the shiny car man, that they've got a bunch of money. Most of those people are 4 weeks away from having their car towed. So get smart, get this little skill under control. We'll talk to you on the next podcast every Wednesday, guys. 6 o'clock Eastern, we drop a new pod. If you could do me a favor, hit subscribe, hit like, let me get a little comment out of you. And then I would really appreciate it because we're taking this thing to the next level on YouTube and beyond. I'm so glad you're here. We'll see you next Wednesday at 6 o'clock. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.